And finally, defense contractor Lockheed Martin has unveiled the successor to its SR-71 Blackbird spy plane, which could fly at speeds 3 times the speed of sound. I introduce you now to the SR-72, the soon-to-be developed hypersonic spy plane that can fly at 6 times the speed of sound. The concept of the plane has been in development for 7 years as engineers worked on developing a plane capable of such high speeds and altitude, but that can still take off and land from a conventional runway. Lockheed Martin claims they've achieved that objective. The plane will be used for reconnaissance as well as long-range strikes, and it's touted as a jet that can fly so fast that adversaries won't have time to take cover from it. So with many people around the world fed up with NSA's spying activities, what's the one new thing the United States needs most? How about a new spy plane?
The Lockheed Martin SR-72 is a conceptualized hypersonic UAV intended for intelligence, surveillance and reconnaissance proposed by American company Lockheed Martin, to succeed the retired Lockheed SR-71 Blackbird. There were unconfirmed reports about the SR-72 dating back to 2007, when various sources disclosed that Lockheed Martin was developing an airplane able to fly 6 times the speed of sound, or Mach 6. Development work on the SR-72 was first published by Aviation Week and Space Technology on November 1, 2013. To attain such speeds, Lockheed Martin has been collaborating with Aerojet Rocketdyne since 2006 on an appropriate engine. The company is developing the system from the scramjet-powered HTV-3X, which was cancelled in 2008. The SR-72 is envisioned with an air-breathing hypersonic propulsion system that has the ability to accelerate from standstill to Mach 6.0 using the same engine, making it about twice as fast as the SR-71. Using turbine compression, turbojet engines can work at 0 speed and usually perform best up to Mach 2.2. The SR-72 is to use a turbine-based combined cycle (TBCC) system to use a turbine engine at low speeds, and a scramjet engine at high speeds. The turbine and ramjet engines share common inlet and nozzle, with different airflow paths in between. 2 photographers have shared pictures of what they say was a mysterious plane belonging to the United States, which they photographed on March 10, 2014, in Amarillo, Texas. What is known that the pictures show 3 aircraft, all with a distinctive triangle shape. The photographers, Steve Douglas and Dean Muscat, took the pictures and posted them to the internet asking if anyone could identify the planes. Right away speculation turned to the rumored SR-72. In 2006, China unveiled an unmanned aerial vehicle design, known as Dark Sword. A conceptual model of the unusually shaped triangular aircraft made its debut at the Zhuhai Airshow, in southern China's Guangdong province. The model was subsequently exhibited at the Paris Airshow, but has disappeared from future airshows. With no official word on the development of the aircraft. Some claim the project has already been scrapped due to insufficient funding, or other reasons, while others believe the development of the drone is now being kept secret as it is undergoing further research and testing. Chinese aviation expert Fu Qianxiao told CCTV that while he does not know the status of the Dark Sword project, the drone could become the world's first supersonic unmanned aerial vehicle if it proves a success. He said he would not be surprised if the project is still ongoing in secret, as a lack of transparency is nothing new for the aviation industry, and is an approach commonly taken by the USA. The capability of Dark Sword has been greatly exaggerated by many claims on the Chinese internet. However, The developers have stated that the primary focus of Dark Sword is to develop it into a hypersonic unmanned aerial vehicle. In order to fulfill the requirement of a low observable, high maneuverability, hypersonic unmanned aerial vehicle. To support tests conducted for Chinese air defense and air-to-air weaponry. Dark Sword is thought to be possible in the distant future to be developed into other applications such as reconnaissance and combat. The IAX is a hypersonic aircraft program started in the Soviet Union, and currently under development in Russia, by the St. Petersburg Institute for the Hypersonic Systems of Leninets Holding Company. The concept of the aircraft was developed by Vladimir Freystadt in the late 1980s as a response to the American Aurora aircraft program. The IAX was initially supposed to be produced in 3 variants. 1. As a platform for launching satellites into space. 2. As a multi-purpose hypersonic military aircraft, and 3. As a hypersonic transport aircraft. The IAX was projected to employ a novel engine that uses some form of MHD generator to collect, and slow down highly ionized, and rarefied air. The air is mixed with fuel into the mixture that burns in the combustor, while the electricity produced by the inlet's MHD generator is used in the magnetoplasma dynamic thruster to provide additional thrust. The plasma funnel developed over the air inlet from the magnetohydrodynamics forces greatly increases the ability of the engine to collect air, increasing the effective diameter of the air inlet up to hundreds of meters. Thus, it is theorized that the IAX engine can use atmospheric oxygen, even at heights above 35 kilometers. This allows the IAX to fly from Russia to the United States, in little more than 1.5 hours. The whole concept is named, the magnetoplasmochemical engine. The technology reportedly used in IAX is incredibly advanced, even at the time of its creation. And in 1993, a meeting held by the Scientific and Technical Council of the State Committee declared that the concept of AJAX and its main focus is not inconsistent with the data of modern science. Prior to that, the technology for IAX had not even been widely considered possible. The TR-3 Black Manta is a top-secret surveillance aircraft of the United States Air Force. The aircraft is speculated to be developed under a military defense black project. The only evidence for such an aircraft is based on speculations about several reported sightings of mysterious flying wing aircraft over the Antelope Valley, an area of desert in Southern California. This stretch of desert is close to several known military research and testing areas, such as Edwards Air Force Base in California, and United States Air Force Plant 42. The TR-3 was said to be a subsonic stealth spy plane with a flying wing design. It was alleged to have been used in the Gulf War to provide laser designation for a Lockheed F-117 Nighthawk bombers, for targeting to use with laser-guided bombs. The TR-3 was claimed to have been manufactured by Northrop. The TR-3 Black Manta is propelled by a mercury plasma field engine. A large engine is mounted in the center of the craft, and smaller engines are mounted at the far corners of the triangle. The entire craft is made of carbon fiber, with aluminum superstructure. This is required in order to avoid magnetic interference with engine-produced torsion fields. The crew seating and cockpit are placed around the center engine torus. This allows the crew to be within the torsion field. This renders the crew weightless and unaffected by the normal effects of gravity and inertia. Crew members will not suffer from any G-forces produced by the craft as long as they remain within the torsion field. The TR-3 Black Manta is powered by RTG nuclear batteries. 200 batteries supply all the electric power for every system on board, including life support, ship power, engine needs, and computer systems. The TR-3 Black Manta is constructed entirely of carbon fiber and machined aluminum. A cross-frame of aluminum is covered with carbon fiber components. The large carbon fiber sections are cured in a large heated conclave that cures the large pieces under a vacuum. The TR-3 Black Manta uses steam-powered thrusters at all three corners for orientation in space. The steam is generated by an electric heated compression chamber and then channeled to the thruster nozzles. A joystick controls the release of steam jets to provide precise steering in space. Main propulsion for space travel is provided by the Mercury plasma field engines. The engines can repel the craft away from the Earth's gravity at great distances. In the vacuum of space, the craft can generate high rates of speed by the repelling force. All four engines can be focused for maximum repulsion. This can produce speeds of 30,000 plus miles per hour. Crew members are able to conduct operations in an Earth-like environment. The craft is very quiet, and makes little sounds. Up close it emits a hushed white noise like water running from a faucet. At 30 yards it is silent. In the crew cabin the sound levels are on par with the cabin of a commercial airliner. The TR-3 Black Manta is essentially a flying submarine. The craft carries all the necessary component equipment to generate oxygen, scrub carbon monoxide, recycle fresh water, cool, and heat the crew area to a comfortable 72 degrees at all times and in any environment, from -200 F to +300 F. The craft can travel at 1,200 miles per hour in atmosphere, and Mach 9 plus in space. The TR-3B, code-named Astra. It is a triangular-shaped nuclear-powered tactical reconnaissance aerospace aircraft that was developed under the top-secret Aurora program, with SDI, under the black-budget military program. The Aurora is the most classified aerospace development program in existence. The TR-3B is the most exotic vehicle created by the Aurora program. It is funded and operationally tasked by the National Reconnaissance Office, the NSA, and the CIA. The TR-3B Flying Triangle is not fiction, and was built with technology available in the mid-80s.
The Lockheed Skunk Works, California. Generations of deep black aircraft were built here. In recent years, its parking lot has remained full, yet officially, it has little work underway. Too little to explain all the activity. Production of its Blackbird spy plane is long finished. Its last contract was for the stealth fighter. That is near completion. It cannot explain the work being done behind closed doors. Is a new, deep black triangular aircraft being built? Aviation experts suspect that the answer lies in a 1985 Pentagon document. A mysterious aircraft codenamed Aurora Project was accidentally included alongside budgets for the U-2 and Blackbird spy planes. There has been no mention of it since.
The first thing I heard about Aurora was that air traffic controllers out on the west coast were being told to expect very high-speed targets on their radar screens. That it was a classified program, that they weren't to panic and they weren't to report it to anybody else. The next piece of information, and the one that I think really started me investigating the Aurora story, was a sequence of sonic booms over California.
On Thursday, June 18th, 1992, at 7 in the morning, and on 6 other Thursdays at the same hour in the preceding year, there was a minor tremor in Los Angeles. Spurred on by telephone calls from worried residents, Jim Morey of the U.S. Geological Survey set out to discover what was causing this unusually punctual earthquake. At his disposal is a network of seismic recording stations. He quickly established that it was a double sonic boom from a supersonic aircraft. Morey compared the signature of the aircraft's sonic boom with the patterns produced by those of the space shuttle landing outside of Los Angeles and by the SR-71 Blackbird on its world speed record transcontinental flight in 1991. It was completely different. The size and spread of the boom was unique.
We actually have quite a few sonic booms in Southern California. One of the reasons is that the space shuttle lands at Edwards Air Force Base, which is in the desert here. It's possible to tell the direction, the speed, and the height of the object that's producing the sonic boom if you have good instrumental recording. So for these mystery booms that we saw, it's clear that they are flying offshore. Because we don't have any stations there, we don't have very much data, so we really couldn't get an accurate estimate of how fast that particular object was traveling. All we can really say is it was traveling faster than the speed of sound. And one other possibility is that it could be meteorite, and there are instances of meteorites producing similar booms. Obviously, though, a meteorite happening every Thursday morning seems a little unlikely.
The official explanation was that U.S. Navy fighters were responsible, but few experts were convinced. The breakthrough came when Bill Sweetman received an eyewitness drawing of what he felt could only be the aurora.
The TR-3B vehicle's outer coating is reactive to electrical radar stimulation, and can change reflectiveness, radar absorptiveness, and color. This polymer skin, when used in conjunction with the TR-3B's electronic countermeasures and ECCM, can make the vehicle look like a small aircraft, or a flying cylinder, or even trick radar receivers into falsely detecting a variety of aircraft, no aircraft, or several aircraft at various locations. A circular, plasma-filled accelerator ring called the magnetic field disruptor surrounds the rotatable crew compartment and is far ahead of any imaginable technology. Sandia and Livermore Laboratories developed the reverse-engineered MFD technology. The MFD generates a magnetic vortex field, which disrupts, or neutralizes the effects of gravity on mass within proximity, by 89%. The MFD creates a disruption of the Earth's gravitational field upon the mass within the circular accelerator. The mass of the circular accelerator and all mass within the accelerator, such as the crew capsule, avionics, MFD systems, fuels, crew environmental systems, and the nuclear reactor, are reduced by 89%. This causes the effect of making the vehicle extremely light, and able to outperform and outmaneuver any craft yet constructed.
I'd written a couple of Aurora stories suggesting that the evidence was accumulating that something was out there. And I received in the mail a sketch and a note from a man named Chris Gibson.
This eyewitness is one of the best in the business. Chris Gibson was a member of Britain's Royal Observer Corps. He was part of their elite international recognition team, one of the top military aircraft observers in the world. One day in 1989, while working on an oil rig in the North Sea, a colleague called Chris outside.
There was a formation of 4 aircraft. The lead aircraft was a KC-135 Stratotanker, and off its port side were 2 F-111 fighter bombers. Off the tail of the KC-135 Stratotanker was a black triangular aircraft that had no wings, no tail, a perfect triangle, and there's nothing that I've ever seen before looked like that, which was an unusual occurrence because I'm trained in instant recognition by the Royal Observer Corps. And if I didn't know what it was, it's not in any books.
This shape and the sonic booms told Bill Sweetman a great deal.
If you're looking at an aircraft that is designed to fly at what's loosely called hypersonic speeds, at 5 or 6 times the speed of sound or upwards, there are several things that become absolutely essential. One is that you require a very high degree of sweepback on the wing leading edges. Otherwise, you start getting into severe problems of drag and aerodynamic heating. As you go into this very slender shape, you still need to have a lot of volume in that shape for fuel, for propulsion, for crew. And the best way to provide that is to blend the wing and the body together. You get a very characteristic, highly blended triangular shape, which is, in plan view, identical to what Chris saw.
In Amarillo, Texas, Steve Douglas may have captured photographic evidence of the aurora. He maintains sophisticated military signals monitoring equipment in his home.
I think it was March 23rd, 1992. I was back here in my office when the house was shook by what sounded like a large sonic boom. I'd heard a lot of sonic booms before, so I know how they sound, but this one seemed to continue. It wasn't just a crack boom and left. It was a rather large shudder that you could feel in your chest, and the windows vibrated. And that's when I saw this very high-speed aircraft flying over the house at incredible rates. I grabbed my camera, knowing it was something different, especially because of the way the contrail worked.
The Donuts on a Rope contrail is produced by no conventional aircraft. Its engine noise is also unique.
It's a deep, thrumming, regular, pulsing, booming noise, like somebody unzipping the sky. You feel it more in your chest than you hear it. It doesn't sound like a jet. It doesn't sound like a rocket. It's just very unique and an amazing sound.
The Donuts on a Rope contrail has been reported from around the world. This never-before-seen footage was taken by an amateur cameraman from a transatlantic passenger jet. It is very hard to hide an aircraft like the Aurora. Steve switched on his radios. On a military frequency reserved for spy satellites, he heard the call sign, Dark Star.
Dark Star Sierra Formation Crew. Dark Star Sierra Formation Crew. Dark Star Sierra Formation Crew.
Dark Star Sierra Formation Crew.
Be advised for that. Dark Star Sierra, out.
I never heard Dark Star before, and I keep lists of thousands of call signs.
The contrail and engine noise are the signature of a pulsed detonation engine, the kind of engine necessary to fly at hypersonic speeds. With a cruising speed of 5,300 miles per hour, Mach 8, operating in near orbit at an altitude of 50 to 80 miles, the Aurora could reach anywhere in the world in 3 hours. But not everyone believes the Aurora exists.
The name Aurora first appeared as part of an unclassified budget document. It was assumed by people that this is referring to a hypersonic aircraft program. Ben Rich, the former head of the Skunk Works, however, later revealed that this was actually the funding item for the development of the B-2 bomber, that it had nothing to do with a hypersonic airplane, and he has flatly said that such an airplane does not exist.
Aurora is not a belief system. Aurora is a continuing investigation which is not yet closed. Personally, I think that there's overwhelming evidence that there is a high-speed program out there.
Like the deep black projects that came before it, the Aurora's existence is still denied. If the Aurora does exist, its main test base would probably be Dreamland at Groom Lake, Area 51, in the Nevada nuclear test site.
The TR-3B is a high-altitude, stealth, reconnaissance platform, with an indefinite loiter time. Once you get it up there at speed, it doesn't take much propulsion to maintain altitude. At Groom Lake, there have been whispered rumors of a new element that acts as a catalyst to the plasma. With the vehicle mass reduced by 89%, the craft can travel at Mach 9, vertically or horizontally. The TR-3B's propulsion is provided by 3 multimode thrusters mounted at each bottom corner of the triangular platform. The TR-3 is a sub-Mach 9 vehicle until it reaches altitudes above 20,000 feet. The 3 multimode rocket engines mounted under each corner of the craft use hydrogen or methane and oxygen as a propellant. In a liquid oxygen, hydrogen rocket system, 85% of the propellant mass is oxygen. The nuclear thermal rocket engine uses a hydrogen propellant, augmented with oxygen for additional thrust. The reactor heats the liquid hydrogen and injects liquid oxygen in a supersonic nozzle, so that the hydrogen burns concurrently in the liquid oxygen afterburner. The multimode propulsion system can operate in the atmosphere, with thrust provided by the nuclear reactor, in the upper atmosphere, with hydrogen propulsion, and in orbit, with the combined hydrogen/oxygen propulsion. The 3 rocket engines only have to propel 11% of the mass of the top-secret TR-3B. The engines are reportedly built by Rockwell. Many sightings of triangular UFOs are not alien vehicles, but the top-secret TR-3B. Some of these vehicles are manned, and others are unmanned.